I think this is a bit chewier.
Oh, this is chewier.
Maybe.
You mean the crumb?
Mm-hmm. And this is a bit more sour.
I don't think so.
They both taste good to me. Yummy. Ah!